Today we are joined by Paul Fox, the Regional Partnership Manager for the Money and Pension Service. So Paul, let's just dive straight into it. Are pensions really worth it?
The answer to that is absolutely yes, they are. When you're younger, when you're in your 20s, perhaps your 30s, it tends to be something that's maybe not a priority and you don't think about. Certainly that was the case for me. But actually, as you start to move into adulthood, you're having a family, your career develops, it is really important that you do engage with pensions. And there's some good reasons for that financially as well. First of all, that you are likely to get some contributions from your employer towards your pension pot. You can also get some tax relief from the government, again, which contributes to your pension pot. So it's actually a very, very efficient way of building up some money.
Wonderful. And if someone was to be considering getting a pension, why is it important to take pensions guidance and advice?
Okay, well, there's several angles to look at this from. Certainly, the majority of people across the country have got some form of pension savings, either a private pension or with a company, or perhaps a public sector pension scheme. But when you come towards actually thinking about taking your pension, it's absolutely vital to take some guidance. There's several reasons for that. It's probably one of the two biggest financial decisions you will make in your life, that and taking on a mortgage. And it's not uncommon for people to be talking about tens of thousands of pounds. So taking some guidance on the thoughts of strategies, the sorts of issues you want to be thinking about is vital. Pensions are complicated animals and they need demystifying. And there are various options that the Money and Pension Service can provide to give people some independent and impartial pensions guidance.
Absolutely, that sounds wonderful. So for people who feel like retirement is a while away, why is it a good idea to start thinking about your pension now or as soon as possible?
Yeah, okay, well, one of the things that we're seeing at the moment, for example, is that once you reach 55 years old, if you've got a private pension, in the vast majority of cases, you can access some of that and take a tax-free lump. And quite a lot of people are doing that. It's a bit worrying. But pensions are a long-term investment. But it's really important that you look after them on an annual basis. Even if you think you're 10, 15 years away from retiring, it's important that you understand what are your options going to be? What sort of lifestyle do you want to have when you do actually retire? And these are big decisions, not decisions to be made in the last year or two before you retire. So the earlier you engage with your pension and the more frequently you engage, statistically, the better off you're going to be in retirement.
Oh, wonderful. That's good to know, because I would feel like someone so I'm in my 20s. I didn't really start thinking about it. My employer puts it in. I do it through my employment, but it's great to kind of know things like that, because you do have to think about it quite far in advance, don't you? I don't know what I want to be doing when I'm at retirement age, but it's going to be nice to have the means to do whatever I want to do.
Absolutely. I'm considerably older than you. And when I was in my 20s, pensions were for old people. That was it. And I was never, ever going to be old. That was the way you thought about it. But when I cracked 50 a couple of years ago, you think, well, actually, it's a lot closer than you might believe. But pensions are overcomplicated as it is. So coming to somewhere like the Money and Pension Service allows us to help you with some independent, impartial pensions guidance, to demystify them, take away some of that pensions jargon, and just help you understand some of the options that you've got so you can make the very most of your pension when you actually do finish your working life.
Absolutely. That sounds really, really helpful. Now, we're going to be diving into debt now. So if someone was struggling with debt, which bills do you think they should start off by paying first?
Okay, well, there are two types of categories that we class them into: priority and non-priority bills or debts. And that's very much focused. It doesn't matter whether you are struggling with a lot of debt or a small amount of debt. You still need to think about it. So, for example, priority debts would be things like council tax. It would be things like child maintenance, if that's something you're paying. Perhaps any court fines that you've got, your rent or your mortgage, and certainly your gas and electric, those are going to be your priority bills. Those are going to be your priority debts, because if you stop paying those, there is going to become some form of ramification. It could be that a service is cut off. It could be that you end up with a court fine for non-payment. It could well be that, ultimately a home is repossessed, or a landlord decides to pursue an eviction. Non-priority debts are those that you can push back, gym memberships, Netflix memberships, these sorts of lower priority debts that you may owe money on, but actually, as a consequence of not paying them, it's less severe. So we've got a great website at the Money and Pension Service. It's called Money Helper. We've got some really good information about priority and non-priority debts and how you should think about it. And we've got a brilliant bill prioritization tool. And I would very much recommend anybody access that if they want to learn more about this.
Absolutely. And if someone was struggling with debt, obviously they could go to your website, as you've just mentioned, but what would your guidance be?
Well, my guidance would be very simple. We know that prior to the pandemic, about 9 million households in England were over indebted, or were in some form of problem debt. That is increasing quite severely at the moment. It's absolutely essential, if you are struggling with debt, if you're in problem debt, to act immediately. That is the first thing. And make sure that you get some form of free, regulated, professional debt advice. The Money and Pension Service funds the great majority of free debt advice across England. It's a bit different in the devolved nations. But certainly, if you are struggling with over-indebtedness, contact us at the Money and Pension Service. We can make sure that you get connected into the right debt advice organisation that can help you. There is light at the end of the tunnel with debt advice. Not necessarily easy, but there is help, and it's available, and it's there, and it's free for everybody.
Absolutely. It's really great that you say that it's not easy, because it isn't. But what would you say to someone who is potentially, they're aware that they're in debt, but they're potentially a bit frightened to come forward and actually kind of accept the fact?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because debt is a taboo topic. People who are struggling with debt, a lot of them tend to bury their head in the sands. They'll max their credit card, they'll max their overdraft. If it's an option, they might go to the bank of mum and dad and borrow some money. And then and only then do about 1 in 3 people seek some professional debt advice. The thing is that people who are over indebted, a lot of them tend to feel ashamed, and they shouldn't. We've all had money troubles at some times throughout our lives. Nobody here at the Money and Pension Service will judge you. Nobody is going to make you feel ashamed. Come and talk to us. We want to support you, your family, and make that journey easier for you to navigate through. So, we want to dispel the fact that debt is a taboo topic. It's something that needs to be faced, and it needs to be talked about, but you need to do it with professional help, and that's why we're here.
Absolutely. It seems the sooner you can kind of talk to someone about it, the sooner the problem's going to get solved, really.
It is, that's absolutely key, is don't delay. Many people do delay because they're embarrassed, they're ashamed, they don't want their family or friends to know that they're struggling with debt. We've all had money worries at some point in our lives, and most of us will have money worries here and there throughout the rest of our lives. So it's really important to not bury your head, acknowledge the fact that there is an issue that you need some support with, and come and turn to professionals like ourselves at Money Helper, at the Money and Pension Service, some other great debt advice organisations out there as well. Come and get some help. It's free and it's life transforming.
Fabulous. And finally, can you tell us a little bit about any other support which is available to people with the current cost of living challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. The current cost of living challenges are affecting all of us in many different ways. And it can seem overwhelming for a lot of people. There's a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress out there at the moment regarding it. We've just launched a cost of living campaign towards the end of January, and it's a countrywide awareness campaign to make people aware that Money Helper and the Money and Pension Service provides free, independent and impartial cost of living guidance. So, for example, come and talk to us or access our digital tools about bill prioritization, which we touched on, about things like income maximization. Are there any benefits or grants that you or your family are perhaps missing out on that could boost your household income? What to do if you're living on a reduced income? It may well be somebody in the household has had to take a pay cut or an hour's, or a working time cut, and that's affecting lots of different things going on. Also, as well, we're seeing, particularly across the southwest, a real upswing in the use of credit channels. People who are trying to make ends meet on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. Credit cards, overdraft, buy now, pay later. We've got great guidance and great resources to support you through the cost of living crisis. We won't ultimately be a silver bullet. We can't help everybody, but to find a way forward and to talk about issues and concerns people have got about cost of living challenges, that's absolutely key.
Fabulous. And just a quick reminder, where can people find this guidance?
You can find us online at www.moneyhelper.org.uk. You can also telephone us in confidence one-to-one. It's 0800 138 7777. You can also access us through different channels, including WhatsApp. If you have some physical impairments, there are other channels you can contact us through as well. Web chats, lots and lots of different ways of getting in touch with us, and it's all free, and we've got some expert people ready to help you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for talking me through all that, Paul. It was lovely to meet you.
You're more than welcome. Very
Fabulous.
Nice to meet you as well. Thanks then. Bye now.
Bye.